welcome everybody. In this video, I'll share with you some good knowledge in Azure to share my journey as a cloud engineer, Microsoft cloud engineer, and maybe you can be interested in this kind of concept. And stay with me in this video, and I'll show you different thing about manage Azure subscription governance, like working with the resource tag, working with Azure policy, create Azure alert, and create or configure Azure Resource Lock. When we are talking about subscription governance, particularly governance, we are talking about the kind of strategy that a cloud engineer or cloud security use or cloud administrator use to govern their resource in a cloud. For example, we can create a policy that restricts some department to provision some virtual machine in a particular location. Another thing is about alert. For example, if something from the administrative action happen with this virtual machine, we can receive an alert or from email, something like that. Another thing regarding managed subscription governance particularly is using tag. What is a tag in Azure? A tag can be used for administrator to administer clearly the resource in a cloud. They can use this tag to filter some resource belong from a particular department. Another thing is resource lock. For example, if you have some resource in Azure and you don't want that another user can by accidentally delete this resource or perform some action that can impact the performance of this or the operation of this resource, you can create Azure Resource Lock. This resource lock can be read only or delete resource lock. Read only resource lock is not about from other user, but for every user in a cloud as well as the administrator. You cannot delete, you cannot perform any action with this resource. It can be applied for virtual network, it can be applied for virtual machine, and so on. Another thing, resource delete resource lock is a resource lock that if when you apply to the resource, you cannot delete this resource. Okay. Okay, come to me in this. I already have my Azure account open over here, and we will first create a virtual machine. Okay, let me search virtual machine. Virtual machine. I'll click on virtual machine and go to create a virtual machine. I'm creating a virtual machine. It's not a virtual machine scale set. It's another topic that we will discuss so further. I have my subscription over here, and first of all, I can create a resource group, or I can select a particular resource group that already exists over here. Okay, resource group SUS and virtual machine name, for example, Azure VNet. Okay, I'll select the region is a region that I will provision this virtual machine and availability option. In availability option, I don't need require or redundant infrastructure. I can select no infrastructure dependency required. Okay, availability option is the topic that we explain later on with the most uh, uh, I will go more deep with it. Okay, security type I will put standard because this is a lab, it's not a production environment. I don't need to use, for example, this feature because it can impact the cost of my resource. Okay, I'll select Windows image. Okay, for this virtual machine. Okay, and the size already I have some size here. I'll select B series size and B2MS. It provides 2 vCPU, 8 RAM, and 4 data disk. Okay, I'll select this and I'll put my uh, credential for this virtual machine. Like I put my password. It's going to be a strong password. It must be a strong password. Let me put again. Okay. Another thing is the access of this machine. I'll select RDP, okay, remote desktop, because I will have access to this virtual machine using RDP connection. And another topic is Azure Bastion. I can use Azure Bastion to connect this virtual machine in security configuration, but it's not the goal of this lab. I'll put only RDP connection for this virtual machine, and I'll go to the next section is the disk. Okay, I ignore this recommendation because Azure will provide a recommendation for which setting I can use to improve the performance of my resource. I put this OS type, I can use standard SSD, it's not a prim SSD, okay? And networking, I didn't create a specific network, it's default network. I go to monitor and disable this boot diagnostic because it's a lab. This is lab, is not a production environment. I don't need to put this on this lab, okay? And the tag, this is important thing because I can put a tag in this virtual machine, for example, it's like a department, and I put department has IT, okay? And I'll select the resource that uses different tag, okay? And I go to review and create, okay? This is running final validation and validation passed. Now I can create this virtual machines, like create, okay, this virtual machine. I remember this video is to show you about the Azure governance. Okay, it's not about to understand the code. It's not about to understand, for example, each and every topic regarding the specific thing, for example, security and so on, in this video. Okay, I'll put a pause while this resource is provisioned on the cloud. Okay, now our resource have been provisioned by the Azure. We can see the notification over here about the resource, and we can click on go to resource. Okay, here we can see that I already have my public IP. Okay, this is a test environment. Okay, this is a test environment. You don't have to be aware with this kind of information over here. Okay, I already have this virtual machine. If I go to the tag, I can see that this resource, this virtual machine, Ashoka VNet, is using the IT tag. Okay, if I go to the resource group, I can filter these. I can filter these resource from the tag. Okay, for example, I go to resource group, SUS group. Okay, and I can if you see here, I have all of these resource. Okay, for example, it's a public IP, is a network security group, and a network interface card, NIC, and we have a disk. Okay, if you add a filter and use, for example, department in the tag and select IT, you'll see all the resource. Because why this all of these resources appear in this? Because it is related to the same resource. Okay, that's this virtual machine. Okay, and they are using the same tag. Okay, that's why you are seeing everything over here. If we create a new resource and use different tag, definitely only these resources will appear, and another one, okay, another one will not be appear. Okay, over here. Another thing is working with the resource tag. If you come to setting and come to log, we can we can configure some log over here because I don't have permission to set my I don't have permission to set a resource lock in this kind of subscription. Okay, but you can click and add and give the name and put the type of resource lock that you want to associate with this resource, and you create a resource lock. As I said in the beginning, resource lock is used to avoid that this resource can be accidentally, for example, deleted, or for example, some action that can affect the performance of this particular resource. Okay. Okay, another point is working with a policy. Okay, we can create a policy that avoid, for example, deployment of this virtual machine or provision virtual machine in this particular resource group from a particular location. Okay, if we search about a policy, click on a policy, and in this policy, okay, I have to select the scope of the policy, and I'll click on over here. Okay, if you see the scope of the policy is a pay sandbox. Okay, and I'll select SUS resource group and click over here. Okay, select the scope of the policy. Okay, and the next step is as I said, is go to authoring and go to definition. Okay, in the definition, I already have built-in policy. Okay, for example, select allowed action allow the location, and I have this built-in policy over here, and I click on this built-in policy. Okay, I can see the the policy over here in the form of code. Okay, but I can associate this policy, okay, to the specific resource group. Okay, I have over here a basic I have a parameters, and I have remediation, manage identity, and non-compliance message, and so on. Okay. I have over here all of these scope. The scope is pay as you go, or pay as you, or pay sandbox, and resource group SUS. Okay, and no exclusion is selected in our virtual machine. I'll leave this by default, and I have over here is a assignment name. Okay, this assignment name, for example, is allowed for example, allowed as SUS VM deployment. Huh? Deployment, something like that. Okay, deployment. Okay, and I have some description. This policy, for example, I copy this and put over here. Okay, STUS, no? Okay, it's a correct. It's a correct. Okay, and next I'll go to the parameter, and this parameter I'll select the location that I want to allow, okay, to deploy the virtual machine. For example, SUS, I'll select this SUS location, and I'll go to the next. Okay, remediation, I don't need to worry about it, and I can go to create and review and click on create. Okay, if you see over here, and create policy assignment success. Okay, I can go now and create, for example, some virtual network, for example. Okay, some virtual network, for example, to this particular location. Uh, Let me go over here and virtual network, and try to deploy a virtual network and a location using this resource group, but another location, not SUS. Okay, and create new virtual network. Okay, for example, test VNet. So VNet, and the location I'll put OK UK Sol, for example. Go to the next. I don't need to worry about this configuration. Even address space, I don't need to worry about that. And the tag, for example, I can create another tag, for example, department tag, but instead of IT, it's, for example, is FN, for example, something like that. Okay, and click and review and create, running validation pass, and try to create this virtual machine. I hope this cannot work because in this resource group, it is not, in this resource group, something was wrong over here. Okay, as I said, something was wrong over here because the resource group that I'm using is different. It is Central India, okay? It's not XUS. Let me create again a new resource, okay? First thing that I have to choose is the resource group, okay? And put some name, okay? VNet, VNet test. VNet test, and choose another location, not about SUS, for example, North America or North Europe, okay? Something like that. Maybe in Austria as Europe, for example. Okay, and click on review and create, running validation pass. Let me try to deploy this. Okay, if you see over here, deployment failed because, okay, the template deployment failed because the policy violation. That means you can avoid that the user in your organization deploy, for example, resource in a location that your compliance not agree. Okay, to not this policy on Azure is to avoid that compliance violation. For example, it can use for this kind of purpose. Okay. Okay, I hope you can understand, okay, what we are doing over here, and you can understand what I'm trying to share with you. Okay, guys. Okay, we have two virtual network. The first one is VNet SUS, and second one is test VNet. Okay, let me filter these by department. For example, if I put department FN and apply, I can see only V or test VNet. Okay, this is a tag. A tag can help us to filter, for example, different resource in our Azure. Okay, it's stored. It's not. Okay, it's okay, it facilitates the life of the Azure or cloud engineer. Okay. Okay, I hope you can understand because English is not my first language. I'm trying to share with you in the foreign language. Okay, I hope you can understand what I'm trying to share with you. Okay, Okay, the last thing is about create Azure alert. Okay, we'll be not able to create it right now, and I hope you can understand what I'm trying to share over here in this video. Okay, I hope you can understand, and we are together.